Vinnie, who's your assistant?
Oh,
It's okay, Vinny. I got it.
you got it?
Yep.
I'll supervise.
Why don't you give me that same?
Because I like Vinny.
Oh. Started off by saying, Liz, I hate to say this, but you were right.
There's no proof of that. I didn't say that. Good freaking morning. I just want to let you all know that we have some of the most bestest students, range family members, customers, whatever you want to call them. One of our Lady Sentinel members brought us in a gigantic pan of tiramisu, and it's delicious. Now I'm the only one left eating it. You guys are over there stuffing their face while I was working diligently to get this live broadcast set up.
The faster
Because mine's gone.
the faster that I get it in my belly, the less likely my belly realizes that it's full.
So you can go have more.
in there.
It's delicious, and thank you. Man, that is tasty.
Tiramisu is an Italian dessert, isn't it?
Yes. Hold on. I got something. I don't even know if you guys know that we have these yet. I bought one of these things yesterday. Oh, what? Good morning.
I don't want to buy anything.
AR.
Well, now we have to.
I have other things to buy.
Well, that's okay. So first off, we have these guys. I have not bought one of these, but I'm probably buying one of them today.
What?
Well, this
Yes.
is mine now.
I can't. I don't know what.
Oh, but you get
What,
the
that
green
you
one,
have
that's my
OD
bag.
green?
Okay.
Okay.
But Tiger Stripe is dope.
Tiger Stripe is pretty
I don't know if I
badass.
like that. This is kind of nice.
It is very nice, but this is what I bought
Loose sack. Why do they call it a loose sack?
because it's a loose sack. This is what I bought
It's a
yesterday.
big loose sack.
It is. It's black camo.
It matches my belt.
Open it up.
Okay, stop. Hold on. Hold up.
Hold up.
Shit, I dropped it.
Wait a minute.
It's got a nice zipper.
like-
I mean, it's a
It's like water resistant.
yeah. It's a nice freaking bag.
Okay.
And it's what? How much is it? $35 or something?
$34.99.
Yeah.
That's kinda
Is this
cool.
a larger sack?
That
Oh no, it's a duffel.
it's a small duffel sack,
It's a mini hauler duffel.
a mini hauler.
And you can write up.
Yeah. Don't or do whatever.
And you can write on this with marker.
Yeah. And it's the same on these things, on the little sacks. And then you can put the little sacks inside the
Are all correct.
not so little sack.
I can put
It's-
my sack in my duffel.
I got
That's
put the little sack and the big sack.
Yeah. So no, this is a mini hauler duffel.
mini hauler. Yes.
What? How? Okay, how do they spell it? Like, just gotta look.
The mini hauler duffel.
Oh, hauler.
Mini hauler.
That's my maiden name. Is Hauler.
That's not what he said though. Hauler.
I know, which is what most people how most people pronounce it. Hauler.
Anyway,
Holla.
that's some new stuff from Savior that we got in the other day, and literally it didn't even make out to the floor yet. I saw it in the back and was like, whoop, that one's mine. Because yeah, it matches. I mean, it matches my belt.
I don't know what I'll put in it though.
So I don't have any. I honestly took it downstairs and put it in the basement. I don't know
You
what
put it
I'm.
in the basement already?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know what to put in it.
What?
But I kind of want it.
I don't understand.
I'm gonna figure. I gotta figure it out. I don't know what I want to put in it.
Oh my god, I'm so
I might
spoiled.
do some of my EDC stuff that I bring to work every day, and bring a smaller bag maybe and use that. Don't judge me, or do. I don't really care.
I do
but
anyway.
I know. So anyway, you start talking. What are we talking about today, Liz? I'm gonna eat tiramisu.
Just back up a little bit so you don't want to give it in my hair. I just have a feeling. You know,
I'm gonna start talking.
I have that gut feeling that your tiramisu is gonna end up in my hair somehow.
Man, it's delicious. Thank you, Maria, or
thanks.
whoever dropped this off.
Now everybody's gonna be hitting her up. Can you make me some tiramisu?
Man,
Oh, she made me lunch one day. Oh, so good.
it's fantastic.
We have some pretty awesome students.
We do. We do.
We went over to another another one of our students' houses for lunch, and man, she treated us as well. And that soup is so good.
We're pretty.
So,
fortunate.
if any of you guys want to,
Yeah, if you guys
want to hook us up,
if you want to make it a competition, I mean,
right?
we'll join in.
we'll help you out.
Speaking of fantastic family members of the range, good morning, Andy and Dennis.
Dennis, what's up, Dennis?
Hi, Dennis.
What up, Andy?
Okay, so
Morning good.
morning good.
Morning good.
Good morning.
Morning good.
I want to show the picture of you guys.
Oh boy.
You guys.
Hello, Internet. We're just eating cake.
Yeah.
They didn't even have to tell each other what to do.
We did, it was
We're just
actually,
eating cake.
It was actually pretty magical. we both set the cake down in front of us, and we looked at each other and said, almost at the same time,
Yeah.
you know what we should do? And we both started laughing
We know.
because we knew exactly what we were supposed to be doing.
And I patiently waited for their shenanigans because I knew it was coming. So,
It happens.
yeah.
Sometimes you just have to accept
How much espresso are we having this morning?
Lots.
the right amount.
That's the right answer. It's gonna speed up our perception of time.
Uh-oh.
Speaking of, okay, go. We got 35 minutes. So I was listening. Hello, Kelsey. Dennis, good luck. Hope you get something. Okay, so this morning I was listening to a podcast about the perception of time, and it really kind of brought to my attention some interesting things that we don't often consider. And I thought back to, and we talk about this all the time when it comes to drawing from a holster and things like that, and our perception of time and how fast is fast enough and good enough, and if you got a 5-second problem and your draw is 4 of those seconds, like how much time do you have to actually do the rest of the skills that you need to solve that problem? So yesterday in CCW class we were talking about the Tooler drill and how fast do you think someone can cover?
We don't distract each
Oh
other.
my
ever.
gosh.
Ever.
You're
Never happens.
taking up all my time.
So
No,
time
you're allowing me to take up your time.
Squirrels.
never
A big
happens.
one. So we were talking about the Tooler drill and how fast can someone cover 7 yards on foot to get to you, and that's usually a pretty big surprise to everybody. So in CCW class we show this. What's the most iconic scene in movie history? It's a scene from Indiana Jones, to where he's running through a crowd being chased by this guy with a big old machete, and they finally stop in this big open area, and I let everybody know ahead of time. It's like, look, we're gonna watch this video, and I want you to know that you're not all gonna agree on whether this was justified or not, and so on and so forth, and I want you to tell me at the end what you thought. Was it justified for Indy to do what he did? So they get into this open area where they're surrounded by all these people, and this guy's just swinging a machete. I'm sure you know the I hate you both. That was a test, wasn't it? You were so proud of me that I kept talking when you both walked away, and I was really proud of myself too, and then you just decided to push it.
We love you, Liz.
So he's standing there swinging this machete, and then Indy's over there watching, and then all of a sudden Indy draws his gun and shoots. And so then I ask, was that justified? And it's usually pretty mixed, but most of the time people say Indy was not justified in shooting his gun because, he wasn't lunging at him yet, he hasn't moved forward towards him yet, and all this other things. And so we were talking about how far they were apart and if he had an escape route and all these things. And then I show another video of basically the Tooler drill of someone, covering that ground very quickly to see how fast you can get two shots on target from the holster. And then so they start thinking a little bit more. And then I show another video of this mom and daughter in a convenience store being robbed by this guy, and they shoot this guy like 5 times, and he's still, over the course of almost 2 minutes, able to wrestle the gun out of one of the lady's hands and fight back. So it's an interesting concept of time and how fast distance can be covered in a short amount of time, and how fast that you can get your gun out and get effective shots on target. And even if you do get those effective shots on target, time is up to them at that point, how long the fight's going to last. So then most people change their mind and say, okay, maybe Indy was justified in shooting, and it's a whole thing, right? So let's just talk about time in general. The perception of time is quite interesting. You know, you hear a lot of people say, well, time passes by so fast when you're having fun, and if you're having a terrible time seems to go by so slow, you know, like you're watching a pot boil. And really, if you put a pot in two different rooms with the same amount of water and a separate person, you know, one's watching it and one's not, you know, one person in one room is watching the pot boil, in the other room, nobody's watching it, they take the same amount of time to come to a boil. It's just your perception of time and the emotions involved that change the way that you perceive it. So, you know, you hear a lot about, you know, that freeze in the decision-making process and how time seems to slow down in those critical encounters. And they brought up a good point that was really, really interesting to me. And when time slows down like that, you are able, your brain is forcing you to use more of it to dedicate towards that response right then. If you are, you know, doing random things, your brain's probably in all kinds of different places, but when you're forced to really focus in on this specific dangerous thing that's happening in front of you, this critical moment, then all of your brain becomes involved. And it's a common misnomer that people think, well, you don't use all of your brain all the time, and you know, if you do this, then you can use this much of your brain, and so on and so forth. You're using all of your brain all the time. It's just how much of your brain is being dedicated to a specific situation, and how that can change your perception of time. Emotions change the perception of time, and was something else we were talking about, and you'll see it in our defensive handgun classes, or anytime we really work on drawing from a holster. I noticed this a long time ago when Phil was running a defensive one, and everybody was drawing from a holster. And as you know, he's got a really big voice. And so when he was telling people, you know, giving the command to fire, he would say, gun, and he'd yell it at go ahead, just do it. Gun! Like, So, and you will see everybody go, whoo, and their shoulders go, they make that sound too, woo! Their girl voice. And, you know, they move very fast, and they put in a lot of effort to it, and it's very frantic, and then they get the gun out and take the shot, and it's probably, hopefully skillful, but usually it kind of falls apart a little bit. And then so we're like, okay, let's just change the way you say gun and see what happens in people's responses. And absolutely, people, you know, when he says gun, they're like,
it's so interesting.
It is funny.
It is. I love it.
so what if you, oh man, in that handicap video that I show also, this guy pulls up, and I'm going to tie these two together here in a second. This guy pulls up to address somebody that was wrongfully parked in a handicap spot. This old guy gets out of his car, and he's like talking to the lady in the driver's seat. Her boyfriend had gone inside the convenience store, and when he started engaging with her, no physical engagement whatsoever, but she must have texted her boyfriend, and he came out hot. Like, he immediately came up and gave him a big shove. And now, this is kind of a side thing to time, but how urgently do you feel like he needed to get out there and address the situation with the increased amount of anxiety, because he feels, based off of what she said, which could have been, this guy, I think he's going to kill me, or he's going to hurt me. She could have said all kinds of things that could have elicited a anxious response to where it was full of emotion, and he had to act right now with violence to stop it. So if you consider the people around you and the chaos around you, are you able to maintain your own level-headedness to make good decisions? If you got everybody around you screaming or saying this or saying that, and it's not right, but you act based off of that emotion, then are you making good choices? And do you feel like time is of the essence when it's not necessarily, when he could have just gone out there and been like, hey dude, we'll move the car, no big deal, like this guy. And it's, if you haven't heard that story, you got to hear it, but it's that emotions are what get in the way of our perception of time, and it doesn't necessarily change exact time, but your perception of it changes based off of the emotion that's happening in that moment. So that's the biggest aspect of that. Let me scroll down on my notes here. Do you want to react or do you want to respond? And if you're bringing in this chaos that's around you and it's changing your perception of time, you might feel like you have less time to react. Now, Vinnie, this is definitely something you could attest to. We learned this in Jedi's classes. You want an abundance of skill, so you have the ability to have more time to address your problem.
Yep.
So, if you have a 5-second problem, but a 4-second draw, that's
You set yourself up for failure.
right. Like you now have 1 second to present the gun and aim in and make that
decide if to shoot.
right. So if you can build an abundance of skill, then how much more time are you giving yourself to do the things that are drawing your gun from the holster, whether you have, like I said, a 5-second problem or a 2-second problem. If you can get that down, you have much more time to make, more decision. Now there's decisions to be made before the gun comes out of the holster for sure, but maybe you have a very difficult target and you have to spend more time aiming or on your trigger press and things like this.
Or a simple way I like putting it, skills buy you time. Time buys you options.
Yep. Same thing with awareness. John Correa says it all the time. Awareness buys you time and time buys you options. If you pay attention and you recognize the anomalies within your environment, then you can choose to distance yourself, hopefully avoid it completely, but you're giving yourself time. You can right now everybody's hunting, right? And you can also give yourself more time by having camouflage. And you're wearing camouflage to blend in with your environment, so that way you have more time to set up and get your sights on the deer or whatever, and you're not so reliant on a quick decision because you blend in a little bit better. Same could be said for just interacting in your day-to-day life. And if you're on your phone and not paying attention and then all of a sudden something startles you, you no longer have that same amount of time to make decisions or make good decisions for sure. So, let's see. Ritz, good morning. Karen and Eugene, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. So, that's about all I got to say about that.
Well, just for example, you talked about staring at a pot of boiling water makes it feel like it's taking forever. Whether you go to the other room, it happens very quickly.
Yep.
I'm in that boat right now. It didn't dawn on me till like 2 seconds ago. I'm expecting a phone call at 8:30. I think I have. We can watch the video again. I think I've checked my watch like 17 times.
Yeah.
And it's only been 7 minutes.
Yep.
Because I'm expecting a very important phone call, so I'm trying to time needs to hurry up. But I feel like it's taking freaking 12 years.
Yep.
But I guarantee you're not in that same boat at the moment. You're just hanging out on the live. And you said right before, we got like 30 minutes or so to hang out. I don't.
Actually, on the flip side of that, it makes me anxious to not have more things to talk about. So time just flew by very fast for me.
And now it's slowed down.
And then I'm like, oh God, I'm out of things to talk about.
You used 7.5 minutes of your 30 minutes.
And the podcast was over an hour long.
Great summary.
Now, there was definitely some things in the podcast that I still am learning. It definitely brought attention to things I already knew, which is what I discussed, but there's things that I want to listen to again to learn more about it. And it was a fantastic podcast, but
What podcast is it?
It's the Human Behavior podcast. It used to be called Left of Greg, but either one you can look up, and they have fantastic podcasts. I listen to them all the time.
So I've been fortunate enough to travel with Liz sometimes to some different classes and stuff where we've had an opportunity to watch her fangirl out on different people. Lena Michalek is one.
John Lovell.
John Lovell is one. And the guys from Left of Greg,
Yeah,
we
Brian
ran
and Greg.
into, we were at a conference actually here in St. Louis. And we were out for lunch and we sit down and she's like, that's such and such and such and such. I'm like, I was just in class with those guys and I just sat through a great course with them.
I'm so jealous.
Yeah. She's like, I can go say hi. I'm like, yeah, they're just people. And it was great. I mean, she
They
went
were
up and
so awesome.
She was like, hi.
My name is.
I'm sorry to interrupt your lunch. But they were super awesome, very gracious, and had a...
Very cool.
She left me by myself eating my lunch over there. Like,
All of a sudden, Phil's life got more relaxing.
very true.
For sure. I hope they come back again this year.
But it's a great podcast.
Yeah, for sure.
Left of Greg is how I know, but what's it called now?
The Human Behavior Podcast.
What?
Podcast. The Human
Podcast.
Behavior Podcast.
Okay.
Yeah.
Check them out. It's
Fantastic.
a great podcast. Well worth the listen.
I think Greg was part of the development of the Combat Hunter course for the Marines, and which is, so if you ever read the book Left of Bang by Pat O'Connell, I think. I might be thinking of the wrong author, but Left of Bang is an amazing book. But Greg was part of the development of that course for the Marines, and it's an amazing course from what I've heard. Obviously, I didn't get to do it, but I've learned a ton from it, all the education they put out since then. And so Brian interviews him basically on these different concepts, and this was one of them. And, they talk about all kinds of things that is just, it's so relatable to normal life. And it's like, man, I never thought of it that way. And, why people do the things that they do. And it's really interesting stuff.
Do you know where the Left of Greg name came from?
I'm assuming in correlation with Left of Bang.
Nope.
But the guy's name is Greg. So
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't remember if I heard it on their podcast or if they talked about it in class, but it's because they would have a lot of conversations driving in the car, and Greg was always in the passenger seat. He's like, I'm literally just sitting on the left of Greg all the
so
time.
funny.
And it just worked out that because of
Yeah.
the Left of Bang thing and Combat Hunter course and
I
all
wish
that.
they would have kept it. I mean,
On the
I
left
guess
of Greg.
that's
I'm
pretty
sitting
cool.
to the left of Greg.
Yeah.
And just listening to Greg's wisdom. It's just pretty.
He does have a lot of wisdom. Man.
Oh, he does,
can-
man. He's very unassuming too.
Yeah. They both are.
But it's a great podcast
Yeah.
and good people. I'd love to attend a full course with those guys for sure.
I look forward to looking at the course list coming up for ILETA and see if they're on it again, because I'm taking it.
Yeah.
I don't care what it is, because everything I've watched has just been fantastic. So
Rich, good freaking morning, sir.
Okay.
So what else you got, Miss Elizabeth?
that's it.
That's it.
My time is running low.
It's been exactly 32 seconds since we
I
talked
looked
about
at
this.
But yeah, I think understanding. Oh, when we took Brian Hill's class,
Every day. Every day.
Now you guys know.
Yep.
Now you know. You're welcome.
I was like, what are you
You get to
talking about?
experience this.
Yes. Okay, guys, I'm done. Oh wait, I'm not.
Oh, wait.
This is so true. And if you don't damn near interrupt me, I will keep talking because I don't like awkward silence.
And Vinnie and I sometimes will purposely.
Interrupt just because.
Yeah.
Or be silent.
Or
be
be silent.
silent,
Yeah.
just
We'll just look
because.
at each other and
And
not
just
say a
say
word. And obviously, you guys may have seen our office a time or two on the live, but her desk is between our desks, so she'll like slide backwards and look at him. Look at him.
It's really tough
Say
sometimes.
something.
We really need a couch in there for Mostly just to let me fall asleep so I can quit talking.
Anyway, what were you going to say?
I don't remember now.
Brian Hill?
Oh, whenever we were working on our draw, but we were just doing it dry, and so we were lined up, facing the wall, and he didn't tell us what the buzzer was, but he just kept decreasing it every time. So we were dry drawing on the range, and our goal was just to draw our gun, and I think we first started just getting a grip, and we just went through different parts of it, and he would use the timer and gradually decrease it without telling us what the time was. That's another thing, is it's really difficult for us to perceive time like that until you do it a lot, and then you your own freaking shot timer, especially this guy. You ever? Oh my gosh, Vinnie math all comes down to the shot timer.
I have great math.
All comes down to the
Unless
shot
it's
timer.
real math.
Unless
then
it's
I
real
panic.
math. And then it turns into a mixture of geometry and physics and astrology and.
Sure. Stars help with math.
But he didn't tell us what the time was, and he kept dropping it, and we kept hitting it. We would get the gun out in the appropriate amount of time, and it got down to like 0.7 seconds, and it was like, holy smokes! You didn't even. If you don't know how fast you can go, if you're like, well, I'm not any faster than a 1.5.
Yeah, you set your own limits.
Yeah.
I can't beat a 1.5. And so if you're told that, hey, we're going to go to 1.2, in your head, you're already checked out. I can't do that.
Oh.
And then you're right. You can't do that.
Didn't want to interrupt. Another one. So whenever
I didn't want to interrupt, but I'm going to anyway.
I said, oh, and then I waited for you to stop talking.
She had a moment of panic. You saw it in her eyes.
Whenever we were using the target and we had either a visual cue or an audible cue, and when I was drawing based off of a visual cue, it was much slower versus when I had an audible cue, and that was a whole thing. And it was very.
I was the opposite. I think Vinnie was the opposite.
I was
too.
the opposite.
I was kind of an anomaly like that. I think he said.
You were more typical. We were the anomalies. The more people were slow to react to the visual stimulus than they were to the audible stimulus. Mostly because audible stimulus is what we've been using all day.
Yeah.
Right. So we were more wired for that.
See, I thought it was more because we're very visual creatures, and we're always looking for visual stuff.
But it's the decision making that, hey, when I see this color, I have to go, and only when I see that color on my target, right, that you have to go. So it's extra process, but
yeah,
still.
our perception and making decisions is it's crazy.
I've actually took the thing you talked about that we did with Brian Hill. I took that a step further, and I don't remember which class it was. It was either my mild drills class or it might have been a defensive one. I don't remember. But either way, I figured out my guys that were in the class, their draw was it was a defensive one because everyone was around like that 3-second mark for their draw. And I wanted to get them faster. But a lot of them were new. This was their first time in the class. They were newer to drawing, so they were uncomfortable with the process of drawing. And so I just random thought in the mind, like usually happens with me. I was like, I have an idea. So I had everybody take their guns off, stick them on a barrel. We went back to the middle of the bay, and I had them draw their gun with no gun. So I went through the timer like we normally do. And all I had them do was doing that process, the normal draw. I told them grab their gun, even though there is no gun. Grab their gun, hand to the chest, build that grip, push out in front of you. And I had them go through the draw process pretending that they were drawing, pretending that they were going through the whole thing with the timer still rolling, with par time, setting it up, and I kept shrinking it down. We got down to a 1.5 and everyone was able to do it.
Nice.
And then we went back to the guns and did it with the guns, and everybody got at a minimum 2 seconds or less.
Nice. That's
just
awesome.
magical improvements. And the biggest reason why I could come up with is they were uncomfortable with the process of how their arms are supposed to move with a gun in their hand.
Yeah.
Because they don't trust themselves very much. So we spent 10, 15 minutes just working on the process of building their grip and moving out in front of them. And that helped give them just a little bit more confidence with what to do. And then they just added the gun to the mix.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I kind of wonder if that's, and Brian actually talks about this a lot in his class, is visualizing.
Yeah.
Right? Is seeing yourself performing the task in the given amount of time and making the hits in the appropriate level of accuracy is a huge step. Pre-planning, and I've never really done that in the shooting world until he mentioned it. And we used to do that very heavily in the skydiving world. You would plan and in the scuba world, when you get into the technical side, you would plan your jumps in the case of skydiving, and you would talk to all the people, and you would, everybody's eyes are closed, and you can see people just going through the process of what they're doing everywhere, so you can see it, and like, we can't do that, or when you get in the plane, you jump out, everything just goes, right? I never did that in the shooting world until Brian brought it up, and it's a great habit to get into, and I think that helps them be less concerned about the thing, the tool, and just allows them to focus on the motion and then actually see themselves truly doing it.
Because the emotion changes the perception of time. And if you are anxious about what's to come,
we just brought it all full circle.
I know, isn't it freaking cool? And so I can also, I can bring this into kid stuff too. So I've been battling.
Before you go into the kid stuff, for Karen, yes. And I actually took it a step further. I just had a defensive 2 class. You can pretend these are mags. I started doing a drill in my defensive 2 class for people doing reload drills. I stick the guns on the barrel. I have them pick up a mag, hold the mag in their dominant hand, pretending that it's their gun, and then I have them do their reloads with just 2 magazines with their hands. Oh well, I like that ammo anyways. And so having them do the reloads with just the mags in hand, again, saw immediate improves of everyone's reload times just by running some drills, even with TAC reloads, of switching out the mags, using their hands as a mock gun, per se, but just going through the motions of how it works, or how your body's supposed to do it, and then adding the gun, which is the uncomfortable part of the process when you're not used to it. Once we get done doing it over and over again, of getting comfortable with the process, and then doing it with a gun. And it's an easy way to practice at home. You have 2 mags, you have 2 hands, probably. And it makes it easy to actually do it. Typically speaking. If you don't, I'll figure out a way to make it work.
hello, Gordon and Martin and Karen. Good morning.
Good frickin' morning, peoples. If you missed it, if you just tuned in, you got to go back and watch the beginning, because there's lots of people on. Well, there was shenanigans, but there's lots of people on here who need to be informed that we have students, customers, members, so forth, that bring us food or invite us to their house for lunch and stuff. And, so far, it's all been excellent.
Yes. So far, we're willing to let you know.
Yes. We're willing to make it a contest. So.
That's so funny. We should.
Anyway,
we should have.
what?
Oh, I don't want to say it on the live, because then people will ask us about it later.
You'll be held accountable.
Yep. But I think I have a good idea. We should try to figure something out.
I think. Well, are you gonna remember it in 3 minutes when we turn this off?
Questionable.
Okay. Well, we do have to get rolling here.
Yep. I got a phone call in.
Yeah.
I had to do math, but it's in a little bit.
8 minutes.
There you go. That was the math.
Anyway, we appreciate you guys hanging out with us. Please, if you can, go check out our YouTube page. What the hell do you do there? You like and subscribe? Is that what you do on YouTube?
Something like that.
Go do that on our YouTube page, please, and you can rewatch this video, because why not? You can see some of the other stuff we're doing. We're putting more content out there from us. Plus, hopefully, we'll start getting some more of us involved in some of the video stuff. Let us know what you need to see. Ask questions on there. Please interact with us. We want to help grow that channel, and we need your help to do that. So if you guys need something, come see us, 14803 Manchester Road in beautiful Baldwin, Missouri. It's an awesome day outside, but it's always an awesome day in here. So come on in, shoot your guns, buy one of those new black camo, the black multicam savior bags so you can be cool like me. And get in a class. What do we have today? Today we have defensive one.
Defensive one.
Defense one. I'm gonna do it again.
I'm gonna do it again.
I'm gonna do it again.
We got all sorts of cool stuff going on and classes coming up and whatnots. So get signed up if you have questions about that. Shoot us an email, training@therangestl.com. If you have general gun questions or whatever, info@therangestl.com. You guys have a super awesome day. Stay safe. Be nice to one another. Oh, I forgot the freaking hours. But that's okay. You know what our hours are. Stay safe. Be nice to one another. We'll catch you soon.
Squirrel.
Later.
Toodles.